lead that we were talking about, Marswan, and maybe they can snowball that into a victory.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, because in reality, that is how DFM lost this last game. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You called it perfectly on the desk. Rascal Jester got ahead in that previous match, and they looked very strong in doing so. We saw the exact same thing happen in their first matchup, but Little Cot, they're going on the Rift.
Yeah, we're going on the Rift, Lexi. Let's get ready for Rascal Jester versus DFM. Game on indeed for our match of the week. Haven't mentioned that yet, by the way, between Rascal Jester here on the blue side, DFM on the red. Can DFM take down Rascal Jester even with the subs in their places, or will Rascal Jester keep up the pressure at the top of the table?
So, I'm of the opinion that Rascal Jester's comp has a higher opportunity in actually winning this game because of the champions they've drafted. However, I think execution-wise, DFM have the easier composition to actually do those fights with. So, I think it's going to come a lot down to positioning. As I mentioned, Rakan is going to be very important to watch in a lot of these team fights. And obviously, I know is going to be maybe the biggest member on Rascal Jester to watch, because a Mega Gnar that pops off versus a Mega Gnar that never goes Mega and is always Mini really does make or break you in a lot of these team fights, especially when you are going to be relied on hugely in this matchup. So I know a lot of pressure on you. You're against Udapon. This is him in a flex role, but he knows what he's doing here. He's already punishing you.
Oh, he's just taking like pages out of Evi's playbook here, being aggressive at the level 1, and you'll notice, looking at those summoner spells, has gone for the Ignite as well. And the DFM fans clearly coming out and forced to support their boy in the top side on this Renekton. Very excited to see how he plays out against Eno going down to this mid lane. Feel like it's going to be a little bit less interaction here, as Recap is taking a fair chunk of his health bar there, but Ryze generally doesn't have too much kill pressure. This bot lane, though, I think is where we can really start to see things pop off as Secret goes in for a short trade against Harp.
We'll just have to see what these two bot laners. I am really hopeful that we see from Soul, at least in this game, is the Nash's to the Manamune into Nash 2, but oh my god, Harp, one hook like that, and that's just level 2. That's just pinging level 2, already hitting it, point and click blind into that brush. Oh, bot lane's going to be bloody. I feel like your Steel's going to have to pressure and focus down bot side, and guess what? That's actually where his pathing is going. So, actually on the cards, and with a Thresh Lantern, you can definitely go deep. Udapon just playing with the edges. That does take a turret shot, but he wants it. Yeah, I can feel the Ebby pages flowing.
I'm glad that he's not like stancing off. I'm glad that he's actually trying to take this lane to I know as much as possible. That may bite him in the bum in a second's time. Hatchemetcha hasn't spotted out that ward, so DFM have got
That's an
eyes
Ebby
on.
ward as well. That Ebby placed that. That is such an Ebby normal place to do that. Udapon, what are you doing your best clone or like impression of Ebby? Because so far, I'm okay with it. The CS is lacking, but you're into a pretty bad matchup, mate. So
now look at this, Hatchemetcha. He's wrapping around, but he's not really got anything to pick up. If Rascal Jester don't make a dive on the top side work in the next sort of 30 seconds or something, then Hatchemetcha is going to have wasted a hell of a lot of time.
Look at who's going back there. Udapon hasn't got TP. He's only got Ignite and Flash, and Hatchemetcha's going for him.
Yeah, they're diving before he actually reaches the tower. Already down to around about 300 HP, and now they can look to redive. Hatchemetcha with the ball, forced to flash away, got the Ignite ticking on him, but that was very cleanly done by the Rascal Jester for first blood.
Absolutely, fantastically done. Didn't decide to blow the flash, and he only sliced. He didn't get to dice because of the CC that did come out. So he's missing, I think, about 4 waves now at this point. So, I mean, Udapon is already dead in the top lane match. Through that gank, through Hatchemetcha. That really does solidify. Ino was winning out in a lot of those trades. The fact that he had to go back and now has missed this much of a wave is just, oh god. I mean, Steel has to babysit top now, to some of the point.
It's unfortunate, and it's put Udapon in a position that he really didn't want to be. Lexi, I was looking at this thinking this is a little bit too ambitious, but Hatchemetcha getting the engage before Udapon reaches the tower means that the dive is just so much easier.
Yeah, and he got the full combo, did Hachimecha there. So, I mean, the fact that he was able to get the shield with the damage still proccing is pretty huge, but Harp is landing.
Pulled onto the chompers, and it's just a couple of rockets to the face for Soul. Secret roaming down to come and bail out his AD carry, who not doing too well at the moment on the Kai'Sa. He's one of these champs that can suffer a little bit in the laning phase, but you see that tier in inventory going towards that Muramana build. Those Void Seekers, once this Kai'Sa gets to 3 items, are going to be disgusting.
They will be. And assuming the Nash's Tooth gets built as well, then you get also the attack speed, so you can get your dash going, if you assuming you go attack speed boots. The actual name of the boots I completely forgot about, but attack speed boots. And then also if you go into, with the Nash 2, you get 100 AP, so you also get your E fully evolved, so that's everything, but Udapon's getting ganked again.
He's being caught out, forced to flash away. Hachimecha cannot follow with a flash of his own, as Harp will hook up Soul in the bot lane. Secret potentially looking for an engage as the Zap and the Rockets do a heck of a lot of damage to Soul and Hachimecha. Recap. They don't realize that he just backed under his own tower. Yupon able to get out, but he is being heavily focused in the top side, still taking advantage of that jungle pressure to secure an early Drake for DFM.
I mean, but the thing is, because mid lane is missing now, Soul and Secret in this bot lane have to respect the fact that Yaharon could realm warp at any moment with a steal as well, so they could just get double killed out of nowhere and lose maybe more than what Udapon's already losing. Ramo
taking a fair bit of damage. Harp is low as well. This DFM bot lane definitely playing on the edge, but crucially haven't really been found out by Soul and Secret as of yet, and are maintaining a little bit of that CS advantage. Talking about CS advantages though, look at this mid lane. Yaharong up sort of 1.5 waves, which is very impressive on the rise, who isn't really one of these champions that tends to thrive in the early game.
I mean, that's just the roaming that Recap's done. He's gone up top twice and not gotten anything for it. He's missed at least a wave in that punish, because I've watched I've watched Yaharong just immediately shove the wave in and just smack the mid turret. So you have to imagine DFM are like, okay, Udapon, weak side. You are playing weak side. You have to accept weak side now at this point. You don't have a choice. The amount of vision control that DFM have secured around bot side is kind of crazy. There's actually a line on the minimap you can see from where mid bot brush, just going through to the top of the red brush to the ward that's actually seeing Hachimecha right now. There's so much just control vision going on that DFM can play very aggressive and very safe with their bot lane, and it's what it was allowing them to actually rotate around and kind of force Soul and Secret off, because everything was dark in their own jungle. They don't know anything, and Hachimecha is always topside. So this is such a weird spot. Udapon being top has put Soul and Secret on weak side.
Yeah, as Recap a little bit weak-sided in mid lane here, as few members of DFM were roaming over. Herald has spawned, and Steel is going to be the first one to start that one up. And with the full bot rotate as well from DFM, it's going to be very difficult for Rascal Jester to actually contest this in time. And Shelly burns down to 0 HP. Rascal Jester realized that they were a little bit too slow to the play, and that just means wasted time, wasted waves, XP and CS not being picked up for Soul.
That's really big for the side of DFM, because they needed if that landed. I was going to be quiet the moment that hook landed if it hit. We won it. Come on, Harp, give it to me. But in reality, as you stated, they missed a few waves. That's experience lost for Soul, and that's far more needed for Soul, because he's just ticked over to 6, whereas Marimo was going into that Rift Herald fight with 6. So now he's going to be able to come here, collect this wave. Harp is also 6, may I add. So that's also a really important point of power for the side of DFM. We're having the cage now. And look at this. Marimo's just going to freeze. Just freezes.
That's so rude. That's so rude, so disrespectful, but it's absolutely the play that you can go for here. While Soul and Secret have a bit more agency with that level 6, with those ultimates available, they're definitely not going to be threatening Marimo on this Jinx for any real period of time until we get sort of into these later fights. Alexia, I kind of want to come to you now, because getting towards 10 minutes, as we might need to hold off on that, as Hachimecha is waiting in this bot lane brush. Recap is starting to roam over. I think Rascal Jester is setting up a dive, Lexi.
Yeah, there's some missing pings coming out as Ari is rotating around, but they're getting a bit antsy.
Secret already ulting into the knock-up as Hachimecha dives under tower with the Stormbreaker. Steel is here to back up the play, though, as TPs are coming in from members of DFM. Here comes Yaharong as Hachimecha is now going to get rooted down and caught out. 1-for-1 so far in that bot lane play, but with the Realm Walk coming forward, DFM are looking to secure even more. Beautiful Killer Instinct from Soul as he dashes away from the fight, and Recap is thinking about re-entering, thinking about turning this into a 3v3, but he doesn't really want to. Charm just going wide, and both teams will back away.
Would have loved to go back into that replay and watch Steel's cooldowns as they play into that second team fight into the Realm Warp, because I thought I watched him land a Q, but he couldn't go for the E, so I have to imagine he used a dash earlier on for Diana's reset, because I feel like he should have been able to get the kill on Soul there for the steal. So I have to imagine it wasn't there. We're gonna get a better idea here, because obviously DFM wanted to go first. They opted in at the beginning, and fantastic from the Rascal Jesters, immediately collapsing and for the counter engage in the spot they found it in. So Soul goes really far in. I'm just going to pay attention to Steel here. So he lands the Q as he comes out. He was knocked up, right? That would have cancelled it. Okay,
it's not in range. Marimo caught out doing Gromp, and that is an easy kill for Secret. As on the other side of the map, Ino needs to go Mega, and he gets the ultimate off at the last possible second. Still going to flash forward, though, gets a boulder to the face, but still picks up the solo kill in the dive under the tower. Yaharong now playing onto Recap, but Secret is coming over. Will dash forward, will get the knock up as well, as Hachimetra is here too, but Yaharong somehow gets the final overloaded lanterns himself away. Beautifully played.
I said he loses that, and then he goes and wins it. I'm sorry, Yaharong. My apologies to you. I was not aware of how cracked you are. Obviously, if you're replacing Seros and Arya, you must be cracked. Clearly, we saw it there, middle cot with the performance from Yaharong. And what that's going to equal is, because they got that kill on top lane, because Yaharong is just beast moding at the moment in the mid lane, means yes, they're going to seed over and give this neutral objective of this dragon, but they got first turret in the top lane.
You're going to feel good about that one. And Lexi, we were sort of talking about on the desk how DFM had potentially lost a couple of their carry lanes with Ebby going and then Utapon going up into that top side. We won't talk about that in a little bit, as Yaharong here just damage checks Recap.
Yep. No, that's actually it. Yeah, you're bang on their money there, right, mate? We came in and they'd done the damage check. Recap obviously getting assistance, but the Q, that was the third Q that Yaharong probably could have hit, and just the prior two before was at the very beginning of that fight, and one midway through. So I think actually, in all seriousness, because of how quick Rise's rotations are, Yaharong did a really good job there, and Recap did not respect the hands of Yaharong. This is the guy that's replacing the Emperor, and the guy that was the MVP and touted as the best player in the LJL of Aria. And that's who's coming in and replacing. You can't just go, oh yeah, I'm going to hands check him. I said on the podcast last night, Yaharong, in my opinion, is better than Recap, and Recap's having a storming series and maybe top 3 mids in the LJL. Yaharong is built different, though.
Absolutely is looked impetuous so far. It's reminding me of his sort of early season form when he went on that massive deathless streak, playing incredibly aggressive, but just knowing the limits so perfectly. It means that you're not really being pressured as much. Utapon wants to pop the Dominus a little bit prematurely there, in my opinion. Not having the best time in this top side.
I think he was worried about Mega now. And Hachimecha's reset, so he didn't have vision on where Hachimecha would be.
Yeah.
I think that's it, mate. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm theory crafting the idea with you.
A little bit scared, yeah. And I suppose when you are playing this sort of Renekton, you're not going to be the main carry. So I think it's a little bit more important that you just sort of stay safe. And we were talking, before we got briefly interrupted by a replay, about how DFM had potentially lost a couple of their carry lanes. But it's that man in the jungle, Steel, who is doing a lot of the carrying. Currently sat at 2-0 and has a pretty significant gold and CS advantage over Hachimecha. You see 1.2k in the graphic there. So I think if we're looking for someone to carry this DFM lineup, it's that man, Steel.
I mean, Steel has been living up to his namesake with some of the Dragon Steals in some matchups. His rotations are fantastic, and he's actually ahead in a matchup where he could very easily have gotten behind and never caught back up it again. That's not happened. Diana being ahead of a Volibear in levels is slightly terrifying for the Volibear side, because if Diana hits 11, and it's going to be 11 a long time before now where Hachimetra is. So the amount of damage that Steel will output in team fights is just not going to be actually matched by any member on the side of Rascal Jester till really Soul starts landing like double evolved version of everything really on this Kai'Sa.
We'll have to see if he's able to do that. And
but he's got to get the items first.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a different build. Yaharong, though, being engaged onto by Secret, hit up with the Everfrost too, but somehow still alive. Lanterns away, and the final auto won't be enough to take him out. Yaharong, how do you keep getting away with murder? Hachimetra won't opt in under the tower. That was so much burnt by Rascal Jester. They really don't get anything for it.
No, they even used that TP, remember? And look at this. Marimo's been left in the bot lane. Harp, though, worrying for you, mate. Oh, no.
This is bold by Secret. Void Seeker does connect. Does so want to throw himself at the DFM support? It doesn't seem so. Still actually looking for Secret here. Able to ground entrance over the wall. But DFM putting out a lot of pressure around this Drake, which is spawning in just over a minute's time. Rascal Jester, though, with this free time on the top side, will be able to take the Herald. Marimo trading for this bot lane tier 1.
Wow, that is a bunch of gold that Marimo and DFM are going to be very happy. And I mean, normally trading a turret, if you're able to trade a turret for an objective, like around the map of Dragon or Rift Herald number 2, normally the turret is always the correct one to go for. So the fact that DFM didn't get collapsed on, they burnt Ino's TP, so now there's actually a summoner advantage in this top lane. This is actually really good for DFM. Like, DFM are just coming out on top in trades and scenarios, and they've got almost a 2k gold lead.
And what did we say, Lexi? In the pregame, if Rascal Jester are going to win this matchup, it's through early aggression and snowballing leads from your lanes. That's not really an option for them anymore. They are in that sort of 2k deficit, like you mentioned, and we're going to have to see something a little bit different from them, something a little bit more impressive as they have to fight from behind to secure this potential win.
Well, still leaving up to their namesake. He stole that early game from them, just denied them the opportunity, and oh, Harp, I can feel them.
That was close.
I'm getting the vibes, but look, Yaharong, he's coming around the corner, and he's just kind of being that one-person man crew that can prevent the side of Rascal Jester from really doing it, because no one can actually out DPS Yaharong at the moment. So there's so much for the side of Rascal Jester where everything can go so wrong. It can also go so right, and you can see this. They brute force the vision there. Udapon is still the frontliner for DFM, and look at this, he's face checking.
Going directly onto Secret, but will able to slice himself away, and actually means that Rascal Jester are a little bit weaker in this position, and DFM can push forward and try and take down this mid lane tower.
Well, remember what I said to you just before when they took that bot lane tower in exchange for Herald? A turret in this early on in the game is always more important. And look at this, DFM just made the call, and we don't even want to fight for the dragon. And remember, they have one of the lowest dragon taking percentages in the early game. Like, they just don't take dragons, remember? They have like the worst first dragon rate in the whole region, because they always play for Herald and play for momentum, and out that dragon doesn't really offer you.
No, it's much more of a scaling objective, something that is going to benefit you around the sort of 25-30 minute mark, but having a gold lead at those points is oftentimes a bit more reliable and can put you in a bit more of a firm advantage. Yaharong just TPing bot lane to pick up fairly decent sized wave and denied that tower away from Rascal Jester, but that means that, yes, Summoner's not going to be in advantage for DFM in that regard. No, but DFM are going to be able to at least still push out this wave, collect it. It seems like everybody else is just recalling on the side of Rascal Jesters, because it's like, well, what really can we get out at the moment? And what they now have to be worried about is that DFM are just going to start overtaking their jungle. Like, this is our jungle now, and we're going to just play through the side lanes, and if you guys don't match us in the rotations, we'll just brute force win, because who can stand up to Yaharong? We've already said nobody. So it means Yaharong's just going to play 4-man side lane with the rest of his team, and this is what they've prepped this bot lane wave for. I am so worried for you, Recap, right now. You
don't realize the pain you're about to experience.
Potentially, but Yaharong will just back away. And it's why it was so important to take those early towers. It's why DFM have favored that, because I think that they're probably the only team in the LJL, for my money, that does actually push vision quite extensively in that regard. So Goku do it to a certain extent as well, but DFM really are the masters of pushing any advantage that they get. Not so much this game, though. It has been a little bit calmer. Only had a couple of occasions where we've actually had fights break out, and I think that might be slightly due to DFM's more scaling composition here.
Oh, absolutely it is. And the fact that DFM have the scaling comp and they've gotten through the early game, and we're now in the mid transitioning, obviously, point. This is not where you need to be as Rascal Jester. Like, your volley bear is going to just be a big boy that will be tanky, but he'll be a big boy that's tanky. He's not going to really do much, and this is the point where you're kind of looking at your comp going, well, Sol doesn't actually have his Nash's tooth yet, so he
doesn't
actually
have anything yet. It's that Manamune before the transformation is not a good item, so...
And he hasn't gone for like a Luden's First, which is a common alt that you can also go for. You go Luden's First, so you at least get the Luden proc on your E, and then you still also get your evolved E in an effective time frame. But I mean, it's with just one amp tomb. But this is not an option that Recap has decided to go for, and we're kind of just sitting in awkward territory land for them. I'm a bit worried about the damage that's going to be coming out of Rascal Jester if they do opt into any team fights soon. Yeah. Because it just doesn't feel like it's going to be there.
I mean, to be fair to them, they have got 2 Drakes. So at least that's not something that they need to worry about DFM stacking anytime soon. I agree with you that they are in a pretty weak spot now, and you can see that DFM like sort of knows this. They're pushing forward, they're clearing out these wards, securing some more vision around the top side of the map, around this Baron, which is now on the table. Rascal Jester, I feel like they need to look for a pick. Like, they've got a lot of pick tools on their composition as Utapon is going for a bit of an all-in onto Ino and is quickly realizing that he doesn't actually win that one.
No, Trinity Force is a very powerful item on Gnar at this moment in time, and Mini Gnar just outputs so much damage and punishment. The thing is, Renekton's really good at healing it all back up, so even with all that punishment, it's not really going to amount to much. And I think the only thing for me in this game that I'm a little bit worried about is that potentially Utapon won't be with the team because there is going to be a TP disadvantage because they decided to go with this Ignite. They didn't win the early game. They didn't put Ino into the dirt. So it means Ino very much has the opportunity to assist his team a lot more than what Utapon can do if he doesn't rotate around earlier, which means Ino, in a sense, can just sideways push a lot more. So we're going to have to see Yaharong more so match Ino, I feel, or Ino might actually have an opportunity to get the Jesters really into this game and force an advantage on the side lanes.
And forcing those sort of TP discrepancies can be so impactful. We did actually see on the minimap there, Marimo checking the Baron with a Super Mega Death Rocket. So DFM had a small lapse in vision and weren't sure what Rascal Jester were doing. Harp uses the box, but Secret able to battle dance himself away.
Huge ult.
Rascal Jester, huge ult, like you mentioned, have got this sort of position around the Ocean Drake. It would be Soul Point if they could pick this up, and Harp just gets deleted before anything can even happen. Secret taking a fair bit of damage too, but does escape on few hundred HP. Utapon brawling up with Hachimecha, but has been slightly caught out. Soul will go forward, but has to flash away immediately as Secret is looking for something, but has to go golden very early. I know whiffs the ultimate, but I don't think it's going to matter for Rascal Jester as Marimo has also been caught out. Utapon diving into the backside, but he's not. Ebby, crucially, and will go down. Yaharong, the last man standing for DFM, but he's going to be forced to run away as fast as he can. Rascal Jester, they find a massive team fight around the Drake.
Yeah, and that was just lack of vision control, seeding it over to the side of the Jesters. Harp getting absolutely removed prior to the fight, getting charmed, and it was all over. The fact is, they also had used the box earlier. That's a huge cooldown that we already mentioned. There wasn't much you can do here. The thing is, if you are DFM at this moment in time, you can just go, okay, we're going to do this team fight without now our support. Yeah, their support's pretty low, but he still has his ultimate, so it's pretty risky for us to do anything. The issue is, Utapon goes in and gets caught out by Hachimecha so early on, And then the side of DFM really struggled to ever get into anything because look at that. I know this whole time was zoning Yaharong. So when he tried to then come into his fight, Hachimetra actually take over and they just tag team. The two tanks kept the rise out of this team fight for the whole time. Marimo just never got into a great spot and Rascal Jesters would gladly take that fight as it was. And it puts them to Dragon Soul points. So you know the Jesters have a win condition now in this game.
And the thing that was really strange for me was how disconnected DFM looked in that fight. Yeah, you've not got Ebby, but you still got 4 of the 5. And I'm assuming that you at least got like some game time with Marimo. And that was a team fight that just sort of looked a little bit all over the place. And it means that Rascal Jester now, hey, they're sat on Soul Point. They're in the ascendancy. Soul has got a massive power spike here on this Muramana, that Nash's Tooth, and the Lost Chapter completed. So he's getting very, very close to that Ludens mark. And mid lane tower is going to fall as well. Rascal Jester, they didn't get a lead in the early game, but they found themselves in the ascendancy. Marimo forced to Zonya's there to keep himself alive. A secret ults as well, but will just back away. And we're already seeing come to fruition the power that this Kai'Sa can have.
Yeah, and the other thing is we're just not seeing Steel actually have this damage. This Diana has fallen off pretty hard, and we saw a pretty decent combo come out from Steel and just, no, not doing the damage. This is personally why I do prefer to go Nash's Tooth second item onto Diana's in a lot of spots. I know he went for the Zonias and it makes sense versus the comp of Rascal Jesters. It's just I do prefer it because your passive is such an important prop for Diana's damage output in team fights in a lot of spots. So not having that for the extra damage passive that the Nash's Tooth has as well as Diana's own passive means it's not going to be great. And still, you're getting taken down pretty low without even being able to do much. That's not great.
But I'm glad that we're seeing that because I've seen a lot of these sort of poke Kai'Sa builds not really being pressured. And so true. if Soul could just keep throwing out these Void Seekers, then he's going to have a very fun time. Secret here, a little bit closer to Harp than he would potentially like, but able to dash himself away just fine there. Yaharong now 1v1ing Recap on the side lane, rooting him up with the Everfrost, but the healing that can come through from that Essence Thief passive is going to be just fine. Yaharong doesn't have the Realm Warp or a TP, does have Flash available, so Rascal Jester probably not going to be able to kill him on this play, but they secure themselves another tower. That's now 3 apiece.
Just match them. That's what DFM did early game. We'll just match them into mid-late game when it doesn't matter about those turrets so much. And DFM didn't pressure the side of Rascal Jester. They had that opportunity. The thing is, they opted into a mid-lane dragon fight, and it just didn't really equal to anything. Well, not that DFM would have wanted, really. And now Soul has got his Ludens. So now this Kai'Sa is well and truly online. So this game, DFM, where I was saying about 5 to, well, actually around the 20-minute mark when everything was going great for you, Kai'Sa's not online. You've got a lot of time to do whatever you need to do to get your objectives, to push them in. You haven't played the side lanes for about 7 minutes, 8 minutes now, DFM.
No.
And this is in a spot now where I worry for the team fight, because while I think there is an easier execution of front to back, Rascal Jester seem like the more cohesive comp at the moment when we just look at the eye test and play. And geez, that's why you don't let Kai'Sa come online.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. And if you look at the itemization as well, Marimo has dipped into a Null Magic Mantle, probably going towards a Hex Drinker, so not going to be on those damage spikes. Utapon also building this Hull Breaker, so in the team fights, not going to really have those damage spikes. And yeah, I agree with you, Lexi. Rascal Jester definitely feel like they are in the advantageous position at the moment as Harp takes a Void Seeker to the face. With the Ocean Drake spawning in 30 seconds time, it could get rough for DFM before it gets better. Steel with a very well-timed Zonya's there to keep himself alive as Utapon is hiding on the side. I know it's going to be the first target. That's not really a priority as the Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't connect onto anyone as in goes Secret over the wall, catching out multiple members of DFM. It's a fight on multiple fronts and it's all going well for Rascal Jester. Utapon soloed out on the other side. That's going to be Yaharong taken out as well. And Rascal Jester, they say, screw the Ocean Soul. We're just going to get Baron.
Charming everybody. Does Rakan and Ari like a succubus? I am drawn to them both, and I will watch them for days. Oh my god, Secret, you literally have no chill, do you, my dude? Because that was dirty. You can't do that to Marimo. You can't do this to Yahara. Oh, but you absolutely will. Multiple members get charmed by the Rakan, which beautifully sets up for Recap with his charm, and the amount of damage that the side of DFM get caught out with so early on. And remember, Soul actually had done a decent amount of damage just before this fight even kicked off. Those health bars are lower than they should be. Unipon does try and come in, but I want you to watch Secret right here. Just watch this Rakan. Gorgeous charm there, zoning Marimo and Steel immediately, comes out, charms again, gets another one, and then it just sets up beautifully for Ino to come in and do this. The zoning alone from what the charm does prevent from Secret is game changing. It literally puts DFM in a negative spot. They can never get in, and then they lose everything. And look at this, it's just gone from bad to worse. They got the Ocean Soul while we're on that replay.
Yeah, Rascal Jester, pretty super powered right now, feeling pretty invincible. Utapon shoving out this side lane, but I think you're going to get caught out here, buddy. Hachimecha leveling up, smites for the move speed steal, and I don't think that Utapon really has any way of getting out of this situation. Just going to be running it down as much as possible. But the thing is, he's buying time for DFM right now. Hachimecha actually forced to ult over the wall. This is a lot of time investment from the Rascal Jester jungler, which means he isn't necessarily pressuring the places that he needs to be. As Ido is also being caught out on a side lane, forced to flash away and jump over the wall. As Utapon somehow still alive, will get chucked over that wall by Hachimecha, who is finally going to be able to take him down, as Rascal Jester also take a tower in the bot side. A little bit of a clown fiesta at the moment, but as it stands, Soul pressuring onto this inhib, but with 4 members of DFM turning up to the bot side, not going to be able to take it down. Recap, though, just taking out a tower in the mid lane.
Yeah, and this is Rascal Jester rotating better, finding the spots, and also, quite frankly, DFM all went 4-man top, and Ino jumped over a wall and got away with a flash as well, only burning. That is so worth if you look at it and go, ah yes, but would you like multiple turrets in mid bot, and then to be still knocking on their front door with the bot lane buffed minions, and they go, yes, we will gladly take that for our top laner's flash on a Mega Gnar. That's fantastic for them. DFM, you are getting dismantled, pulled apart, in the threads of hopefulness that I came into feel like they've been burnt, squandered, and forgotten about 5 years ago. It's so sad to see, but Rascal Jester, fantastic performance and very similar to what we saw from the previous matchup.
Still going in, diving onto Soul, but only landing onto one, and the moonfall wasn't really what you needed. It's the first kill of the fight for Rascal Jester, and I feel like there are going to be 4 more coming very, very soon. Yaharong jumping down, Recap dashing forward, Marimo going to be able to lantern himself away as Utapon is diving into the back line, but lasts not very long. Hachimecha stunning the AD carry under the tower, will be forced to walk himself away, but Marimo just gets bobbed into a wall and taken down. Rascal Jester, in what is still an upset, will take out DFM and go 2-1 against them in the regular split. This is something that no one expected them to be able to do, but they've done it.
They absolutely have, and Rascal Jesters take a bow. You played very well that game. You knew exactly what you wanted to do execution-wise, and did it flawlessly, friend.